What is the psychology of mind according to Bhagavad Gita? How does my food habits, my sleep patterns affect my mood, emotions and mind? How much I have Sattva, Tamas and Rajas Guna according to Indian psychology? How can I create balance in my mind with Indian psychology? If you have these questions in your mind, let's try to answer them in today's video.
My name is Anmol. I'm a mental health practitioner, counselor, psychologist, career coach, life coach, and life skills trainer. I'm here to share my insights and learnings with you to tackle life challenges and attain your highest potential. Let's create balance in your life.
Hi everyone, I hope all of you are doing great. Welcome to my channel Ask Life with Anmol, where we talk about life balance and psychology. The topic that we have chosen today is about theory of mind based upon Indian perspective. In our previous videos, we have talked about theories of mind from Western perspective, where we talked about unconscious mind and we also talked about happiness as a theory of mind. Today, we'll be delving deep into Indian psychology, and the crux of Indian psychology is Bhagavad Gita. So, I hope how many of you have read about Bhagavad Gita and its slokas. We will cover one of the topics of Bhagavad Gita that is related to theory of mind. Bhagavad Gita says that our mind has three components. These three components are a way of our living, and it has certain emotions involved with it. What are these three components? The first component is called Sattva, second is called Rajas, and third is called Tamas. Now, what are these three components? And let me give you a description of these three components based upon your ideology. So, if a person is high on Sattva Guna, that person lives by moral and values and upliftment of self and society. That is their ideology if you are governed by Sattva Guna. Let's talk about Rajas Guna. Rajas Guna is a person who has the knowledge, but it is tied with desires of mind and body. The person is very passionate, but the person is bound by the desires and cravings of this world. Third type of guna is Tamas Guna. Tamas Guna is a person or ideology living life without thinking what is good or bad to fulfill our needs and desires. So these are the three components of the mind according to Bhagavad Gita: Tamas, Rajas and Sattva Guna. Now, how will you differentiate if you have more Tamas Guna or less Tamas Guna, higher Sattva Guna or Rajas Guna? So in this video, we will be giving you a tool. It's a psychologically tested tool to help you assess which guna you are high on. How do you think? So stay till the end. Let me show you on your screen what are the different emotions involved with these three gunas or perspectives of mind according to Bhagavad Gita. So the first one is Sattva Guna. A Sattva Guna person will have these emotions: happiness, wisdom, self-control, gratitude, concentration and focus, and compassion. So these are some of the emotions you will feel for Sattva Guna. For Rajas Guna, it will be energy, excitement, workaholic nature, ambitious, self-centered, egoist, fear, desire. So these are some of the emotions you will feel with Rajas Guna. And lastly, Tamas Guna, you will feel emotions of illusion, greed, ignorance, confusion, attachment, laziness, heaviness, mental delusion. So according to Bhagavad Gita, the daily habits of food and sleep patterns also decide what will be these components in our mind. So for example, Bhagavad Gita says that we can bifurcate our daily food into these three categories. Sattva food are fresh food coming from directly from farm, like fruits, vegetables, milk, and they should be prepared fresh. That is your Sattva Guna food. If I talk about Rajasic food, they are highly saturated in fat and salt and sometimes sour in nature. For example, if you eat any oily food like chips, like anything related to high cholesterol food like pakoras, like puri, these come under Rajas Guna. And third part is your Tamas food. Tamas food are food which are prepared more than 24 hours. All the packaged food, if you talk about your pizza, burger, french fries, chips, chocolates, all these are packaged food. So that comes under Tamas Guna. So all the emotions which I mentioned before, Bhagavad Gita says the high consumption of any of these foods will lead to those emotions. For example, you can check out for yourself, any day when you are eating pizza, burger, you will feel lethargic that day. You will not be motivated to work, right? You will feel very drowsy. On the other hand, if you eat nutritious food a day, your energy levels are high. That's how we relate the daily habits of food with these three gunas. Next comes your sleeping habits. So what does Bhagavad Gita has to say about your sleeping habits? So Sattva time is the Brahmurat. Anyone who wakes up between 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. will be considered under Sattva Guna. So you can start your day early and see the emotions that you are feeling. Then comes 6 to 9, that is your Rajas Guna. And after 9 or after 12 p.m. comes Tamas Guna. So if you see for yourself, once you wake up during the daytime on your holiday, most of your day you feel wasted, you feel lack of energy, delusion, the emotions of Tamas Guna. And when you wake up early, you feel very energetic, right? So that's how you can relate your sleeping patterns with these three gunas. Now what we will do now, I want everyone to carry yourself a notebook, because we are moving towards the psychological tool which you have to answer to assess what gunas you are high on, whether you are high on Sattva Guna, Rajas Guna or Tamas Guna. So you can pause the video if you want and let's go to the tool. So there are 5 components on this tool. You have to rate your answers based upon these 5 scale. 1 marks you have to give if you have never done that, 2 means rarely, 3 means sometimes, 4 often and 5 always. We'll show you this scale on your screen also. There are 15 questions in this test. The first 5 questions are related to Sattva Guna, Rajas Guna, next 5 questions, and lastly we have the Tamas Guna for the 11 to 15 questions. So carry yourself a pen and a notebook, and for each question just answer based upon the scale. Your answer sheet should look like 1, 4, 2, 5, 3, 3 like that, right? So let's start. First question, you can write down Sattva Guna. I feel a deep sense of inner peace and contentment. All the questions will be shown to you on screen. You can pause the video if you want. So the first question says, I feel a deep sense of inner peace and contentment. Write down 1 to 5 based upon the scale which is shown to you. Second question, I engage in activities that benefit others selflessly. Third question, I prefer simple, nutritious and wholesome food. Fourth question, I am disciplined and practice self-control. Fifth question, I seek spiritual wisdom and self-improvement. That is your fifth question. So these 5 questions are related to your Sattva Guna. Next, let's move to Rajas Guna. Sixth question, again you have to answer based upon 1 to 5 scale which is shown to you. The questions will be coming on screen. Sixth question, I am often driven by ambition and competition. Answer on 1 to 5 scale. Seventh question, I experience frequent ups and downs in my emotions. Eighth question, I work hard for success, recognition and material gains. Ninth question, I find it difficult to sit still or relax without doing something. 10th question, I often experience stress, frustration and impatience. So these are the 5 questions. You can pause the video if you want to answer these questions related to Rajas Guna. Third, let's move to Tamas Guna. Again, 11th question. I procrastinate and avoid responsibilities. 11th question, answer again on a scale of 1 to 5, which is shown to you on screen. 12th question, I feel lazy, tired and lack of motivation often. 13th question, I indulge in overeating, oversleeping and addictions. 14th question, I struggle with negative thoughts or pessimism. Next question, I find it difficult to understand spiritual and philosophical teachings. Now I want you can pause the video if you want, if you have skipped any of the questions, and you have to get a score for each of these sections. So your scores will range from, for example, you have answered 1, 5, 2, 4, so 5 plus 4, 9, 9 plus 3, 12, like that. So your lowest score will be 5 and highest will be 25 for each of these questions. So pause the video if you want and please calculate the scores for each of the gunas. I hope all of you have got your scores. Let's do the interpretation. So let's talk about Sattva Guna. So if you have scored 5 to 10 marks, you have low Sattva Guna, which means your mind is restless and crowded by inertia. 11 to 17 marks, if you have got, you have a medium Sattva Guna. You have some balance but need to deepen clarity and purity through knowledge and selfless actions. 18 to 25, you have high Sattva Guna. You embody wisdom, peace and selflessness. Let's talk about Rajas Guna. If you have got 5 to 10, you may lack motivation and drive, that is low Rajas. 11 to 17, you are ambitious but needs balance it with inner peace to avoid stress and frustration. So you have medium Rajas Guna if you have scored 11 to 17. And 18 to 25 is high Rajas Guna. You are highly restless, ambitious and driven by desires. Third is Tamas Guna. 5 to 10 again is a low Tamas. You have clarity, discipline and energy. 11 to 17 is medium. You may face occasional laziness, confusion or procrastination. And 18 to 25 is high Tamas Guna. That means you may struggle with negative patterns, lack of motivation or ignorance. So I hope you got your interpretation. Just write down Sattva, low, medium or high, Rajas, low, medium or high, and Tamas, low, medium or high. Now you need to understand, nobody is perfect. I am not perfect, you are not perfect. All of us cannot have high Sattva Guna, right? Our body and mind is a mixture of Sattva, Tamas and your Rajas Guna. The motive of Bhagavad Gita is that you need to increase the Sattva Guna to feel that peace of mind. And how can you do that? Let's find out. Now let me give you some tips based upon psychology which can help you create balance in all these 3 gunas. So if you have got high Tamas, the first thing you should do is increase your physical activity. You can start with something small, as simple as 20 minutes walk, but try to do it daily to build a habit. Second is eat fresh energizing food. As I told you before, food helps a lot to reduce the impact of Tamas from our body. If you are eating a stale and food, it does not have that kind of energy which can boost your mood and motivation. So eat fresh energizing food. Third point is fix your sleep cycle. I don't tell you that you have to completely change the cycle of sleep. If you're waking up at 9 a.m., you can start with waking up at 8 a.m., then 7 a.m. after 1 week, and then 6 a.m. after 1 week. Habits take time to build. So try to have a proper sleep cycle to attract other Sattva Guna and Rajas Guna. Next point is avoid overindulgence. If you are addicted to something, whether it is kind of a caffeine or other drugs, you have to reduce that consumption. Today we are distracted. You can be binge watching on movies, taking a lot of caffeine and an unhealthy food. So you have to avoid that overindulgence to remove tamas from your life. And lastly, associate with positive people, right? And when you are an introvert, you can also watch YouTube or movies which are more positive in nature, right? If you watch the content which is high on tamas, right, violence or any other forms which creates a restless mind, that impacts your tamas guna. So these are some tips if you're high on tamas guna. So for people who got high on rajas guna, you need to practice mindfulness, being in the present moment. Stop being workaholic all the time. So that is the first principle that they have to adapt, being mindful of the situation. Second is shift your focus from material desires to inner growth. Try to see what will help you in the long term. You might gain a lot of wealth at the cost of your health, but in the long term, you will lose all your wealth because you're not taking care of your health. So try to set your priorities and see what is included in your inner growth. Next is eat light sattvic food in moderation. Because I told you, sattvic food help you create balance in your energies and mood. Next is you can join any NGO and serve selflessly. You can take part in mental health NGOs or health NGOs. You can visit any old age homes. Try to add that giving back to the society component in your life, just to be more grateful with what you have achieved. And lastly, balance work and rest. Rest is as much important as your work. So try to create a balance between your work, your life. Because most of the people who are high on rajas, they reduce their interactions, they don't take care of their relationships, they don't take care of their health and other areas of life. They're only driven by desires. And at one point of time, that might create a guilt and regret in their life. So try to seek balance in your work and life. Lastly, if you're high on Sattva Guna, these are some best practices and advice to create that balance. Firstly, try to deepen your spiritual knowledge as much as possible by reading scriptures or any books that you like. Deepen your horizon with spiritual and material knowledge. Second is meditate and do self-reflection every day on what went well every day. You can start journaling also and try to see what emotions are you feeling. Next is serve without ego. You can also take part in NGOs like I told in the Rajas Good part. You can be a service to the society and selflessly help them. It can be old age home people, it can be teaching underprivileged students, right? Whatever you like, whatever the cause is, you can be a major part in their life. Next is remain detached from praise and criticism. Try to have a neutral balance or neutral perspective most of the time. And lastly, try to motivate and inspire others with your knowledge, because you need to spread that knowledge of Sattva Guna to other people so that we can have high Sattva Guna in our mind, body and soul. So these are some of the tips for Sattva Guna people. I hope you got an understanding of these three gunas and a gist about Indian psychology and theories of mind from the Bhagavad Gita perspective. I want you to share this video with your friends and family members so that they can create balance in these three gunas and they can have knowledge of theories of mind from the Indian perspective. Like this video, share this video with your friends and family members and subscribe to my channel Ask Life with Anmol to create balance in your life. Keep growing.